Hello, today I will tell about new in-ear monitors made by a company named GoldPlanar model GL12. If I remember right, GL in their code means golden lark, so it's the name of their lineup of headphones and earphones. This company, as you can easily guess by name, became famous creating different type of planar-magnetic headphones with different design, and new GL12 it's in-ear monitors with 12.5 millimeter planar magnetic driver with ultra thin diaphragm, pretty nice design and lot of interesting features. Hypothetically, price is about $200. I will add links to the Linsol shop in the description, but now let's have a closer look. As you can see, they wanted to create a pretty premium feel with their package, and in my opinion, they succeeded. It's cardboard, but with textures that really reminds wood, looks attractive, and unusual shape adds a few points in this aspect. It opens with magnetic flip. Inside here is layer with specifications, so 108 decibels of sensitivity, 20 ohms of impedance, so as you can see they are not too hard to drive. Big wooden box with earpieces themselves. Let's pull them out, and of course you can remove this foam and use it to store some additional accessories. Also storage pouch and cable inside, set of replaceable sound tubes with filters, so they're changing sound, actually two pair of tips, and adapter for the Pentacon jack. They used Pentacon as a default option for the cable. So here they are. In terms of design, pretty interesting model with long extended spouts. You can see they fitting pretty deep into ears, providing slightly above average sound isolation. Lip for holding the tips and protective grille are present. Interesting faceplate and unusual design, but good wearing comfort. Everything is smooth. They are made of metal, build quality is really high. There is a black version and also kind of golden one, but it's light gold type. Here is GL logo and perforated faceplates with interesting notch here. Wearing comfort, as I've said, is good, and I enjoy wearing them for the extended periods of time. Cable is made replaceable. Here used regular 2-pin connectors. No recessed sockets, no recessed pins, just absolutely classical type of 2-pin connectors with a pretty tight fit. And let me connect the second one. And stock cable selected based on the performance. It's pretty thick, it's average in terms of softness, but microphonic effect is low thanks to the proper isolation and ear hooks. No memory wire here, but it does its job pretty well. As you can see, magnets inside are pretty strong, so they hold each other. And nice, good looking cable, interesting stripes of light and darker material. Here is splitter with chin slider, and it goes, after the splitter it goes just twisted to the 4.4 millimeter jack. So as you can see, GoldPlanars goes with modern trends. They decided to use Pentacon for their earphones. And if you want to use it with some other jack, you can use this adapter. Adapter is pretty bulky, but it does the job pretty well. And if you need a bit smaller type of adapter, you can get, for example, DD Hi-Fi one. Anyway, in terms of design and packaging, it's nice. In terms of accessories, it's also pretty good, but additional set of tips would be nice. And of course, I forgot to mention that you can unscrew spouts and install other pair that changes sound a little bit. And of course, about the sound, I gave them about 60 hours of burn-in, but there were no big changes in sound. I tried both sound tubes and I preferred the one without top filter. And as you can see, it's just basically empty tube, and if you're scared about dust and other particles that can get inside of earphones, I looked inside and it seems that some internal filter is installed there, so it's safe to use them. But of course, avoid getting some small debris inside. And let's have a player on the table. I will use few M11 Plus as an example, and I've run through internet before reviewing them, and looks like that some reviewers that based their reviews on the frequency response already started hating them. And yes, it's definitely a colored model that is not trying to be natural, not trying to be super technical or super performing, but actually they are not that bad as it can seem by some reviews. In general, I'm trying to avoid judgments like good earphones, bad earphones, because in many cases it's more a matter of taste and preferences, and what is good for me, for example, for other person can be awfully bright or what is good for my colleague, for me is just like some bass boomy tuning that is absolutely not natural, and so on. And I've read some opinions that this model plays bad with almost every genre and everything, and I'm also not agree here, because I kinda like them with some tracks in my media library. It's definitely not my type of tuning, and from the audiophile perspective, it's not the model that is created for those who need natural, super balanced sound signature, but at the same time, I'm sure that some people can find this tuning pretty enjoyable and listenable. Probably I needed to say that in the conclusion part, but let's pretend that it will be in the conclusion. So, and let's talk about the sound step by step. So, bass is accented, it's pretty powerful, mighty, with good body and weight. Resolution is normal, not superb, but pretty nice, and deep layers of bass is definitely present. It's pretty impactful and with good balance of punch and weight at the same time. Sounds really engaging with electronic music, and with natural instruments it also sounds okay because it renders textures nicely, but because of the accent it pushes them a bit forward and bit exaggerates their size, so they sounding a bit hyper realistic. And as an example here I decided to use one of the bassiest tracks in my media library. It's Prodigy Diesel Power, and this model definitely delivers that raw power, that sense of mighty low frequencies, and sounds pretty fun thanks to the accent in the treble area that compensate low frequencies and gives nice splash on the cymbals, so good contrast for this track. And what else I can say about low frequencies? Actually, that's probably pretty much it. And actually, here accent goes up to 500 Hertz somewhere. It's almost linear to this area, and then it drops a little bit. And probably the main problem with this tuning that many people dislike is that they don't have that compensation bump in the upper mids and lower treble area that makes everything more crystal clear, more refined, more forward, and so on. Instead, here they have almost flat line from 500 Hz up to 1 or 2 kHz without attempts to boost them. And actually mids are pretty good in terms of resolution, but lacking of that typical boost makes them sound sometimes veiled, and they need accommodation. You know, at first listen they sounding like super softened, and that is first impression. But after some usage to this tuning, actually detalization isn't bad. It's definitely not the model that is focused on the micro contrast, not the model that goes deep into the smallest nuances, but resolution is not as bad as some reviews say. But of course it's not superb or great as we can probably expect. But at the same time, instruments have a nice body, and in many cases actually vocals sounding really engaging. Imaginary stage is about average in width and in depth, because usually for me models with warmer and darker tuning have a smaller stage. And actually interesting example I've selected here, it's Led Zeppelin, Dazed and Confused, and bass in the introduction sounds really fun. It's boosted, but it's definitely fun and energetic. And as for mid frequencies, guitars are lacking a bit of clarity and aggression, but at the same time Plant's vocal sounds pretty engaging, not 100% natural, but emotional and fun. And treble, it has a few spikes in the upper treble area that gives a sense of extension, and in terms of resolution it's normal, but it's not boosted, so lower treble lacking a bit of definition, but at the same time upper part already have a required spike, and it gives a sense of presence and clarity. So if you're super sensitive for the treble, this model can be not for you. But in general they're not super aggressive despite of that few spikes. And I really like the balance of attacks and decays, but of course don't expect rich layering or something like that. And example here, it's Pink Floyd, Marooned, nice special effects, a lot of things that goes to the treble area, and actually this model plays it pretty well. Not supernatural, but actually to deal with this track properly you'll need something much more expensive anyway. In terms of pairing, as I've said, they don't require something super powerful, but some player of mid-level requires to control them properly. I won't do any comparisons this time, because it's definitely a model with pretty different tuning comparing to the mainstream. And for example, Teen Hi-Fi's P1 is a polar opposite of this model. P1 is bass light, lacking weight a bit, but at the same time bright and analytical, while this one is more relaxed, more warmer, like, you know, if there will be some way of combining these two drivers into one, they can create an interesting tuning, but it's probably impossible, so it's definitely the model that complements each other. So I already told my opinion about this model. It's definitely not everyone's cup of tea, but I can't say that it's bad. It's definitely not like universal choice that will fit everyone, but if you'll have a chance to listen to it before buying, definitely recommend to do it. Maybe you like this tuning. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a nice day.